All right, welcome to the Aviation Insurance Podcast, where we're talking about the basics or the fundamentals of aircraft insurance. And we've been talking in recent episodes about how to read an aircraft insurance policy. So if you haven't seen the introduction to this series, go back and listen to it, as we're going to just dive deeper on one of the topics here, and that is the section of the policy called the declarations section, or the information found on the declaration page. And this is kind of the basis for the policy. It outlines some key information, right? It's from the insurance company, so it says the insurance company's name and address and the policy number and the policy dates, but it lists the first named insured and their address. And these are two important things. Number one, a lot of the policies actually give the first named insured additional responsibilities and rights over any named insureds that follow. That includes the responsibility of paying the premium and, in many cases, to making a change. Again, all aircraft insurance policies aren't quite the same. Some of them have variances, so it's important to read this. But on the strictest policies, the first named insured have those additional rights and responsibilities. Many carriers require that first named insured to be the registered aircraft owner. Now, the address, why is that important? In this case, it doesn't need to be the aircraft registered address. It needs to be the mailing address where that first named insured will actually receive mail. Because if something happens, for instance, a missed payment of the premium, or if an application isn't sent in a timely fashion, or for any other reason a policy cancellation is issued, that is going to be mailed to the address stated on the insurance policy declaration. And if you have a Delaware registered aircraft, but you live in Oregon, you're not going to get that mail in that 10-day notice of cancellation for non-payment of premium, or maybe even within that 30-day notice of cancellation for not turning in your application. So the address matters. It's generally where the check's going to be sent as well in the event of a claim. So small detail, but huge importance. Make sure that first named insured is correct, and that the address is where you're actually going to receive mail in a timely fashion, or where someone will be checking it. So very key thing on your declarations page. So outlines the policy, its coverage. In the aircraft policy, it identifies the aircraft to be insured and the ownership or encumbrances of it. It identifies those key limits of liability, the insured amount, perhaps the premium deductibles will be listed there. Usually you will see some approved pilots or some pilot requirements outlined there, and the approved aircraft use, which is, as we've talked in other sections of this or other episodes of this podcast, is so important. Know what the use is, and then be sure you read the policy definition of the use to make sure that your understanding of the approved use of the aircraft is correct. Because if you use the aircraft for some reason, for some purpose other than as is outlined in the policy, it's not going to be covered. You would need approval from the insurance company, or you would need to avoid doing that in order to keep having coverage. As we talked about, this policy is conditional on the terms of and the conditions of the policy being met. Their duty to pay a claim is conditional on the terms of the policy being met. So understanding that approved use, and knowing the values and the deductibles, that's all important information. That key information is all found right in the very front of the policy. So that's the declaration section, and that's just a few of the items that help that you want to look at as you read your aircraft insurance policy to know kind of the foundation of what is covered, and then it gets into the other sections which provide some additional clarity. All right, well, that's all for this week. Join us next time as we continue navigating the waypoints in aviation insurance. Until then, enjoy clear skies and unlimited visibility.
Thanks for listening to the Aviation Insurance Podcast. If you found this episode of value, please share it with someone who would benefit from this information. Don't forget to subscribe in your podcast player so you don't miss any new episodes, and to help our show have more impact. This episode is brought to you by Aeris Insurance Solutions, your flight plan for navigating the turbulence of aviation insurance. For more information, visit aerisinsurance.com. That is www.aerisinsurance.com. Disclaimer: these episodes are for educational purposes only, and due to the changing regulatory and legal nature of the business, some information may change over time. Having a well-educated and experienced aviation insurance broker on your team is an absolute requirement to success in business and for managing your aircraft and aviation business risks.